going to take the derivative of a rational function, and this one happens to involve e. So we're going to see how to approach that. Now, most instructors will use f and g to define the numerator and the denominator, although I've also seen u and v, or s and t. I guess it really just kind of depends on your instructor, but there's a variable for the top and there's a variable for the bottom. So we're going to define those to start with, and we're going to say, in this case, that f is equal to e to the x, and g is defined as 3x squared plus 5. So we're just saying that the numerator is e to the x, and the denominator is 3x squared plus 5. And now we have to take the derivative of each of those. And so that's going to be f prime. Now the derivative of e to the x is simply e to the x. It's indestructible. So that one does not change as you keep taking the derivative. Whereas something like g, when we take the derivative of g here, we're going to move the 2 out in front to multiply times the 3. So that's going to give us a 6. And this is going to reduce by a power. So we can, if we kept taking the derivative, this whole thing would disappear. By the third derivative, it would just be 0. So normally most functions are like that, where they change the more that you take the derivative, but e to the x doesn't change at all. It stays exactly as it is. The derivative of a constant is 0, so I could either put it as plus 0, or I would prefer to just not even have it there. And so this is going to be our little map here of what we're going to use. So the equation for the quotient rule, if you recall, is the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom. And this is all divided by the bottom squared. Now, in the product rule, it doesn't really matter what order you put these in, whether you put one product first or the other, because they're separated by a plus sign. But the quotient rule is the numerator has the term separated by a minus sign, so it does matter which one you place first. So you need it to be excuse me, you need it to be the bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom. Now within a term, you could change the order of that. So for example, you could have g prime times f, and it wouldn't make a difference. It doesn't matter what order it is within the term, but that's the formula we're going to use. So we're just going to plug each of these where they go. And so this is going to be, in our case, g, which is 3x squared plus 5. That we're substituting in the place of g. And then f prime is going to be e to the x. This will be minus f, which is e to the x, times g prime, 6x, all divided by the bottom squared. So this is going to be 3x squared plus 5. That was the bottom, and it's going to be squared. So you can take a glance at the answers, and you'll see that it doesn't really match any of these yet. But we can do a little bit of algebra to get it into the form that will be the correct answer choice. So the next thing we could do is, you see how they have a e to the x term in common. And what we can do is factor that out. And that is what we'll do over here. So we're going to factor out e to the x. And what's that going to leave us with? Well, we're going to have still that 3x squared plus 5 term. That's, once we factor out the e to the x, we do still have that term. There's a minus sign right there. And then there's a 6x term right here. So we're going to have that as well. That's going to be the numerator now. And the denominator is 3x squared plus 5 squared. Now, this looks difficult with all these parentheses. It's difficult to follow what's going on. So I'm going to get rid of the parentheses because there's no coefficient acting here, so there's nothing to distribute. I really don't need those parentheses to be in there. And so this, and I'm going to change the order of this too, because I want this to be in descending order. So I'm going to have e to the x, and then 3x squared would come first. Then I'm going to have the minus 6x. That would be the next thing, and then plus 5 over that denominator squared. And you can see that that is going to be answer choice B. So we've found the right answer. And it just takes a little bit of algebra and the correct formula to be able to do that.